Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Shirtless Plantain Show, the soccer edition. This is your host, Mitch. I'm here as always with Matheus. Hi, Matheus. How are you?
I'm doing well. Happy to add a little bit of insult to injury on camera today.
No.
I shouldn't even have let the record button get pressed with you wearing that. It's actually unbelievable. I'm gonna go to another person who's probably just a little upset about Man City and Tottenham. Hi, Emily. How are you?
I'm okay. I haven't let myself dip into despair as of yet. That's for Sunday, baby. That's for Emily later down the line.
No,
Yeah.
I gotta say something. Just
Do you have to?
No, hang on. I was talking to Mitch about this in the other chat we're in earlier. Spurs fans are really sad, man. You cannot. That's some real loser shit.
Okay, we can all get on board on this. Yes.
No, that's some real loser shit to be rooting against your club for your rivals league. No, go win your goddamn games. That's really fucking sad. So shout out to Andrew Postecoglou saying the right thing.
Yeah.
Not good.
No, I saw a tweet that was like, "I love my club" after the second goal went in. Just it's embarrassing.
If they had nothing to play for, I would maybe get it a little bit more. But they still had
Champions
a not
League,
insignificant chance to qualify for the Champions League if they won that game. Because
I remember 2010, 2011 when Tottenham got in the Champions League ahead of City. There was huge celebrations. You think you're too big for that now? Please.
Yeah, well, I mean, what you're saying is what Arsenal fans have known for a long time, and is that Spurs fans are inherently losers. So you know, we can talk about that. We're gonna segue that right into a country of losers, which is our brothers up north.
I thought you were gonna say a loser with Jesse Marsh, but the whole country. Let's go in. Okay,
that would have been funnier. That would have been more savage.
I'm just gonna fight all of Canada instead. So Canada hired their new head coach, and it is none other than Mr. Jesse Marsh, Mr. Podcast himself.
No, hang on. They hired the MLS Canada men's national team coach, as he's officially titled. Oh, you haven't seen this, Mitch?
Sorry.
So Canada, as you know, went broke last year. Their federation went broke last year. And Jesse Marsh costs a pretty penny, even though he's got the Leeds money still coming in or whatever. To the point where Korea didn't hire him for money. But Canada's federation got the money together by begging Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal for a little, please give me a little monies, along with some private donors, allegedly, then be able to hire Jesse Marsh. And he's as a result of these contributions, he is the MLS Canada men's. This is an official press release too.
Wow,
it's not a joke.
That was they put MLS Canada
in his job title as almost a selling job title rights, selling naming rights.
Oh right, it's the Soba Realty training center.
It's like a college endowment chair.
My god,
the Lockheed Martin chair.
So I think that Jesse Marsh to Canada is inherently really funny. Somehow it's gotten funnier. This is fantastic. This is so fun.
This is sitcom shit.
100%. And I do love that there's probably going to be just some serious beef and fire within the I feel like there's Canadian national team soccer fans have gotten louder online, so there's been more fights between fans, but it's never been a salty rivalry on the field. Now I feel like it's kind of gonna be, because not only is Jesse Marsh doing this to be petty and to try to prove a point, because there's nothing that this man wants more than to beat Greg Berhalter and prove that he was better for the U.S. men's national team job. But also, this guy went on podcasts for the last few months after he didn't get the job, and has shit on a lot of U.S. players. If I'm someone like Yunus Musa, whose name he forgot while he was doing a podcast, or Gio Reyna, who he said shouldn't have been on the roster for Nations League and stuff like that.
He didn't even mean it.
My shoulder, where I'm yeah, fuck you, podcast man.
No, they're gonna. And the funniest part too is he's gonna recruit a few. Like I'm sure Aiden Morris is gonna get recruited, who has dual citizenship with the U.S. and Canada. I'm blanking right now, but Koleosho maybe. There's gonna be other guys we're gonna go hard after, and he's like a name, right? I don't think he's clearly better than some other people they could have hired. You know, like I'm not saying Justin Marsh is amazing, but like he fits their play style. He is an okay coach, probably, maybe. Like I don't know. This is gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to have a little bit more of a rival, just a little bit more of a rival.
What do you think his end game is, though? Because
I don't.
You think he wants to be the U.S. coach at some point, but he's putting himself in like a primary antagonist role where you're gonna meet like as often as possible.
I just think he can only do the pundit shit for so long without it becoming a forever gig.
Yeah.
And he's clearly not getting good enough financial offers from clubs. Certainly in Europe. I don't know if there's an MLS club that was going to pony up for him. So, and I bet he's just kind of hitching his wagon to like Canada's talent going up, right? Like with bringing in Bombito, bringing in Morris, and just pointing to his record. He's like, I was better than Herdman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's tough to do.
It's interesting because, I mean, like, I was on paper wanting him before we went for Berhalter again, and since we rehired Berhalter, I've been less enthralled about Jesse Marsh because I don't feel like you're a very serious person if instead of getting out there and getting another coaching job, you're going to just be on podcasts or you're going to just work as a pundit for CBS. There's good money there, whatever. Like he can do media all he wants, but also I don't think you can be like really petty about like, oh, I didn't get this job if you're going out there and not coaching afterwards for 6 months, because it's not like he was positioning himself to like wait for the Canada job. Like that, this shit's been open for a while. Like this job is like come around and he's like, I guess I will do it. And clearly gotten some extra money to incentivize him to do it.
And he's clearly not willing to go to like a Club Bruges or like I don't know, Valencia or something and like try and rebuild his career. Because if he fucks up there, it's gone forever.
Mm-hmm.
If you fuck up with Canada, someone else will give you a chance.
Yeah, for sure. I think he'll always have a job within North America. But I do think he's maybe running away from Europe a little bit, which is, inherently a bummer because he was an exciting young head coach in Europe. And with like those Leipzig teams were good and fun. And not Leipzig, Salzburg. Yeah, he got fired from Leipzig. The Leipzig and Leeds obviously are a little bit of a stain on his resume, but the other like he's had some success with it in Europe, and it's a bummer that he like all of a sudden thinks he's too big for a club like Club Bruges or something like that. But it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I'm very excited because of the added spice to the rivalry. I think this is gonna be very, very fun. And I'm excited to see how he does because I'm excited to see how the U.S. responds to it. Like with that first U.S.-Canada game with Jesse Marsh at the helm, those press conferences between him and Greg are going to be catty as fuck. It's going to be awesome.
The ego on that man, he's revealed himself to be quite the maniac. So I kind of love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. Can't wait.
Mess.
Let's move on from this and delve into a little bit of MLS transfer news. We got an official announcement today of Olivier Giroud coming to MLS. And my official statement is I cannot wait for him to come to Colorado so I can boo the shit out of him. I will boo him every time he has the ball. I hate him so much, and I can't wait for him to come to Colorado. What are your guys' thoughts on Giroud to LAFC?
I can't wait to see how many sitters he skies over the crossbar.
Yeah, that's right.
I knew
Emily.
Mitch was a Giroud hater, but Emily, you too.
Well, he didn't play for your club, and like you know.
I thought Arsenal still had a little love for him.
I mean, I'm not
I have
like
fond memories of him
his biggest hater, but that's Mitch's job.
That's Mitch's job. Okay. No,
I mean, he wasn't great for us. And then you go play Chelsea. It's like
he was fun for you guys. It was fun.
No, he wasn't. No, he absolutely fucking wasn't. There will be people that will rewrite history. There will be Arsenal fans that are like, "Oh, Giroud was good. Giroud was fun."
Lacazette, no. he would. We would have won the league with him if he was still here.
Yeah, Giroud. The only reason that some Arsenal fans still think highly of him is because he is handsome. That is, I 100% the only reason why some Arsenal fans
still think like Santi Cazorla vibe to you.
No, absolutely not.
No.
Okay.
That's disrespectful to Santi.
Yeah, he's like, no, they're not even on the same playing field.
All right.
Santi's like true cult hero of Arsenal fans. Like,
I know.
Everyone fucking loves that guy.
Matheus, if your club was real, you would understand these dynamics.
Exactly. Yeah, you raise a really good point. But how do you guys think he will do at LAFC?
I think he frees up a lot. Like, he's a good connector, right? So he's going to free up Bouanga to connect with him, right? And not have to play center forward. Because they really don't have a good one right now. They've been playing Bogusz in that spot a lot. They brought in Mario Gonzalez last year, and I think he's not with them anymore on loan. Or he's off the bench now. I don't even know, because he hasn't started for a while. I think just, like, having, not quite a target man, but a reference point up there, like a backboard. Kind of like how Pulisic used him at Milan. I think it's going to be really useful for Bouanga.
When he misses his chances, someone else will be right there to scoop it up.
That's right. Exactly. When it hits off the goalkeeper, just comes straight back out, then Bouanga will tap it in. But yeah, I think that's a really good linking piece, and I think gives LAFC's attack a lot more passing intrigues. I think it's a lot of guys that run at the keeper right now, that run at the defense right now, and not a lot of intricate passing. Tillman can do it from deep, right? But no one's at the front passing a ton besides Bouanga. It'll be a good added point. Added good striker.
Yeah, I'll stop hating for a second and I'll put on my realistic actual analyzing goggles of I do think this is a good fit. I think that LAFC needed someone that can be a little bit of that backboard for Bouanga and not have him just be doing everything. They are a team that likes to work really well in transition, so I'm curious about how that's going to work because this man has never been fast, but he's got quick players around him. So I think that it has good potential to work, but I'm still going to be a hater and I'm still going to boo him when LAFC come to Colorado next season because I will be there.
On LAFC playing in transition, I feel like Cherundolo plays that way because they don't have the talent. I feel like if they had, with this talent coming in, they're going to change their play style a little bit more to suit him, hold a little bit more possession, and not do all the crazy insane running. Because I don't think anybody on that team can handle it right now with how thin they are. So we'll see if the tactics change a lot as well.
That will be interesting to see. One more transfer before we move on to NWSL. And this is a little bit more of a rumor, but it's a substantiated rumor because Tom Bogert reported on it, is that San Diego are in talks with Sergio Ramos. And presumably if they do this, he would be a DP. And if they get this done, then presumably him and Chucky Lozano, who we talked about a couple weeks ago, would be their first two and marquee signings for San Diego before their inaugural season. Are these the kind of signings that are going to make the people of San Diego hyped for San Diego FC? Are these the type of signings that are going to make them anything like St. Louis in their first season? I'm not really sure. I don't know about DP center backs, really, but
who? I mean, St. Louis brought in a DP goalkeeper, so who the hell what are we talking about?
That's a good point. Yep.
But Berkey is a talent that was still. His name was a bit tarnished, right? Maybe a little bit, just because he's let in some silly goals with Dortmund at times. But prime peak player, not a guy you're bringing in because he sells jerseys necessarily. right? I mean, I'm sure you did do that.
I've actually never been to a stadium where I saw more people wearing goalkeeper jerseys than when I was in St. Louis.
Well,
it was actually
yes.
very cool. I saw so many people like wearing Berkey jerseys, which was very, very cool.
But if they brought in Marco Royce instead of Berkey, right, or together with Berkey,
100%. Your point is not diminished by that fact. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Nevertheless, it's a good signing. It's a signing. I think it's heavily reliant on Sergio Ramos, Real Madrid center back. I understand he's played well for Sevilla this season, right? I haven't watched them a ton.
From what I understand, he's been solid, but like he is also like 36, so like he is not a young guy anymore.
I didn't even know he's still playing, to be honest. I wasn't aware.
He played against Arsenal this season in the group stage.
Forgettable. Forgettable performance.
Actually, maybe he was hurt for that game.
Did he cut his hair?
No, he looks the same.
I was gonna say there's not enough like hair grease in California for him.
So. for the two of them.
For the two of them, yeah.
I heard, speaking of greasy hair, and this is also a rumor. I think it's more unsubstantiated, but I've seen floating around. Is KDB to San Diego?
Yeah, I saw that they were like wanting to do that. I doubt that he would do it, but I need it to happen because I need that demon out the fucking door.
Yeah.
Well, he said he wants to retire in MLS out loud before.
Wait, really?
Right now.
He's not like at a point where he's like not contributing enough to go there, I feel.
I agree.
Do you disagree? Okay.
I agree, but
I'm like, how old is this man?
He's
32. He's only 32.
His hamstring is gone.
Okay.
And Foden's kind of the guy going forward. Like he just is. So it makes sense, if not this year, next year.
I think so.
If he wants to go.
He could bring Holland with him, another grease ball.
Yeah, Holland hasn't won MLS Cup yet, so that's what's gonna get him over the bar to win the Ballon d'Or eventually.
Yeah, so. MLS Cup and Clash of Clans Champions League.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I think this is enough talking about transfers. Let's move on to the actual games, because NWSL happened this weekend, and we're going to start off with Spirit 2, Racing 1. Emily, what'd you think?
Oh, wow. Yeah, NWSL did happen this weekend. I would say, first off, I think scorelines are a bit more modest now that we're in week 8-9. Defenses have figured it out. This game, though, was pretty open, particularly in the second half, really exciting, I think. But most of all, it was basically a platform for Croy Bethune to, once again, show that she is a stellar player. And she's, like, so mature as well on her assist. Like, it's a breakaway transition. And she has the composure to, like, slow things down, which I don't think you see a lot in, like, what is she, 19, 20? And those players slows it down perfectly, time pass for Sar. And then she got a goal herself. So she was creating both of these goals for a Spirit. I think they're like cementing themselves in that like top 3, top 4 position in the table. Also, I want to say on Racing's end, like I've been like pleasantly surprised by them. I think in their first few seasons in the league, I've been like, I don't want to watch them. There's nothing for me there, but Beviana is taking over. I think they've been like really competitive in all of their games, if not, and I think they've shown like they started with so many draws, so that at least they're hard to beat. I don't know if they're able to make the playoffs this season, but I think like in a year from now, and if they make a bit more investment in firepower, they could be, challenging for playoffs at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna throw to a different game next, but because you were like, I think defenses are figuring out, we're gonna segue to Thorns 4, Rain 0.
Okay, well, that's like the one exception of the weekend. And for most of the time, there was like solid defending here from Seattle. So yeah, Cascadia Rivalry, Not really, the kind of rivalry game you want to see. It is Rivals Week all around, I think. Um, yeah, this is actually like a tale of before this ref called an absolutely shoddy handball PK, and after that happened. Because before, I think the Reign were very positive. They were honestly like set up really well to defend. Portland, honestly, first half, they didn't really do too much other than that terrific goal from Olivia Moultrie, which is just like so quality, like curler, top corner. But yeah, like I think Seattle even had the most clear cut chances of the first half. And then it's 1-0. They're still in it. And the ref calls, or it was recommended to go look at the screen. This attempted cross hit off Sofia Huerta's leg and up against her hand. And that's just never, it was point blank range as well. Just never a penalty, in my opinion. I don't know what they call it, but Sophia Smith puts in the PK, and like Reign at that point, you're seeing like the midweek game in their legs, and they can't really come up with anything. Extra time, Seattle pours it on and makes it 4-0. And I don't know where Seattle goes from here. That must have been so like deflating because of the performance they were able to come up with for the first, I don't know, 70 minutes. And then it all collapses.
Yeah, like goal line clearances,
right?
Crazy saves. Like you threw everything at the wall. I don't think anyone can like look at you. Gotta, as a coach, I would imagine like you go back and Laura Harvey's just like, sorry ladies, shit happens.
Nah, I think immediately like they were in the press conference hot about that about that PK, which of course, yeah, I would be as well. Like being a Reign fan, like watching that, I would have like promptly launched myself into the Puget Sound and just like let the current take me where it may,
Yeah, that was a very tough call and a tough scoreline for Seattle, but I do think Portland are fully back. We talked about this last week, but they are.
We have to check every week though.
Yeah,
they're back.
Sophia Smith did get the her 40th regular season goal, and she's the youngest player to get that, which is very, very cool. And then you mentioned
like
the Moultrie
3
goal.
assists in the game.
Yeah,
she's
just fucking phenomenal. Yeah,
she's on a whole other, which makes you think it's like we've been talking about, Banda, Chewinga, MVP. I'm like, could it be Sophia Smith again? Like the numbers would be like in favor of it. Depends on where they end up on the table, I guess.
Yeah, it was interesting talking about MVP last season because it was like kind of unknown where we thought it was going to go, but mostly because it was just like, yeah, there's a lot of like good players, but no one like was like head and shoulders above the rest of the league. I think this year's MVP race is going to be a lot different because I think there's like probably 5 players at the beginning of the season already that have like already started at like a MVP kind of pace that is just like what Carolyn was doing last year when she won it,
I do think that the voters are going to want to reward like the new talent that's come to the league to showcase that as well. So I could see like Banda or Chewinga or Bia, all 3 of those coming away with it, depending on how the season pans out.
Yep. Well, speaking of Barbara Banda, she won the penalty to give the Pride their win against Bay FC. Only goal of the game. But what do you think from this win from the Pride?
Yeah, I mean, mainly I want to talk about this because Bay is at such a tough point now. I think like the frustrations have totally crystallized for them. It's definitely like expansion team blues. They start off so hot, and like even if they weren't winning, they were scoring a lot of goals. And now it's just like so labored and like obviously we saw those flaws defensively when they were first starting out, and now with Loera gone, it's just totally clear. And dropping Tess Bodie has exacerbated things. With her dropping the midfield, I think you need more from Dana Castellanos, who was the unfortunate one to draw that penalty. Because like Oshwal and Kundananji, they weren't really involved in this game. And when you have Anna Morehouse on the other side of the field, who I think is like the weak point in the Pride's roster, like the most clear weak point, like you have to test her, because I think she has a mistake in her if if you really go at her. So I think they approached the game like they probably didn't want it to be a shootout, but like play to your strengths in this point, because they don't really have anything to lose. Like I think you're gonna lose like that fighting spirit if you just sit back and like try to play a different way, and you're gonna lose maybe some of the fans that you're trying to win over, because they're like, this is boring. This is not what I thought I signed up for. So I do think they're at like a dangerous point right now, because not only are you going through this hard time, but it's a brand new team, brand new relationships. They don't have a history to lean on to be like, we made it through a rough patch before, and everything, like things turn out okay or whatever. So I'm afraid they might check out a little bit mentally.
For sure, that's a tough spot for them because they started so hot. But Orlando has been in killer form, and they're going to continue to be in killer form. They're a very, very good team. Yeah,
I think what Kansas City like secured their place at the top table this weekend, but Orlando's right there. And it's gonna be so interesting if those are the two teams who are fighting out for the Shield, because I think credit to me. I'll take credit where I can get it. I do think I said it was going to be a good season for Orlando, even before they signed Barbara Banda. Yes, check the tapes.
Let's check the tape. Let's check the tape. Orlando, super high on the Pride playoff team is the note that I had for what you said. And then
I said Kansas City wasn't going to be that good.
You said not top of the table.
So I was wrong on one end.
So you only get to claim half of this now.
Yeah. I believed in Side Behind, and they hadn't even signed Banda yet, so I'll really take that. Crazy.
I will say that I've mentioned them both before, but it's very cool that two people that I went to high school with were playing in this game, and Corey Dyke and Tess Bodie for either team. So that's always very interesting to see people that you went to high school with play professional sports.
Wait, you went to high school with Tess Bodie?
Mm-hmm.
He talks with us every week.
No, I don't.
Yeah, say more. Say more.
She would train with the men's team sometimes, and she would just shoot from half field against me because she did not respect me as a goalkeeper. And fair enough, I wasn't that good.
Wow. Are you guys Instagram friends?
No.
Okay.
Weren't really friends. Let's move on now to your team.
Yeah.
We don't need to pry into this more. I'm just talking. Gotham drew 1-1 with San Diego. Ella Stevens had a great goal to start this game, but Gotham has not been able to score a lot of goals in these matches.
It's one and done, man. I don't know. This one was Ella. Credit to Ella, her first Gotham goal. That was sick. Takes it out of the air, half volley, swing it back to goal situation. Really, really nice goal. But this one was so frustrating because it was the first time this season that I think we created really clear cut chances. In other games, I think we had a lot of possession and we're moving the ball, kind of dominating those areas, but not creating a lot. And according to FOTMob, we created 4 big chances and we missed 3 of them. I think in the second half they brought on Rose, and it was they hit the gas pedal. Could have gone up 2-0 easily and kind of put the game away, but didn't capitalize. To credit to the goalkeepers, it was kind of a goalkeeping masterclass between Kaylin Sheridan and AKB. I'm at the point where I'm like, why? How did AKB like drop from her, number one position at Chelsea? Like, what happened? I'm afraid that I'm going to find out in like a really cruel way at some point this season where Clifton's like, okay, I see what what was going on there. But yeah, both of them had like 6 saves each, acrobatic saves. But I think it was a missed opportunity without Naomi Gurma, Abby Dahlkemper, Alex Morgan, etc., to like take 3 points against the Wave. It is the first time apparently that we've gotten a result against them. So
wow,
progress. I know when their first season in the league, and it was Gotham's worst of the Gotham era, bottom of the table season. The first time we played them, it was like an absolute whooping. It was like 5-0. I'm pretty sure Alex Morgan had like 3 penalties in the game.
oh dear lord.
It was agony. But a funny tidbit that I heard from Tobin Heath does like these watch alongs sometimes with their company or whatever. She had Allie Long on, and they were talking about her time with Gotham and kind of the goal scoring not really happening. She's like, yeah, it's really weird. Like our press is really on, but we didn't score a lot from them. And she said, this is when I lost hope for a little bit. She's like, yeah, Juan doesn't really focus on the attack. So I'm like, oh, really?
Sure, I've heard that from coaches before, where it's like you don't really coach an attack. You will kind of let a player. The players would know where they're supposed to be, and they like are able to kind of do it themselves. And you more coach a cohesive defense.
See, this is what they were saying, and I really like listening to them because I feel like I learned so much when I go away from one of those things. I'm like, I don't know anything about soccer actually. But Tobin was like, I hate when coaches are like, I'll just let the creative players, work it out. It's like you have to at least have like a theory of like how do we score goals.
For sure.
But so I was like, okay, they don't actually work on the attack. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, hopefully I think things did look like they were clicking though between Rose and Lynn and Ella and Lynn. So I think those are partnerships that I think Rose, I think she'll start this weekend. I hope. She got 45 minutes. So we'll see. But I think let's score 2 goals in the first half.
Turning the big dial that says Rose Lavelle and Crystal Dunn and seeing what happens.
Right? Yeah.
Slowly but surely, the defending champs and the winners of the offseason will be able to score 2 goals at some point. We believe in you guys. Let's go.
Wow.
I didn't realize we were setting the bar this low again. You were like trying to like bring up shitty Gotham era to like get a little bit of sympathy. Be like, oh, we can only score 1 goal a game. No, you guys, I'm not letting you guys have low expectations. I know Mitch Perks got hurt, but like I'm not letting you have
waiting on the Lynn Williams Linsanity run again. Like I don't.
No, I don't have low expectations. I have lowered expectations. Okay. I mean, gotcha. Well, honestly, it's like the Shield. I don't know if that's in play. If we get our act together for this, like, CONCACAF Champions League situation, like, I'm like, let's fucking go for that. That'd be sick.
Yeah,
that'd be cool though.
That would be pretty sick, especially to win the first one.
It's the first one, yeah.
Cool. All right, cool. Well, that was NWSL this week. Let's move on to MLS. And the first game that we're covering, there was a whole lot of shit that was more interesting that happened off the field. This was an interesting game, but like there was a full-on brawl that happened, and also John Herdman alleges that Nick Cushing punched one of his players in the face. On the field, NYCFC won 3-2 against Toronto. Matheus, what'd you think?
So 2 shitty teams at the bottom, right? Let me simplify this game. NYCFC, I've said this so many times, needs to fire Nick Cushing because Toronto has a talented enough team.
Hey, real quick.
Go ahead.
You said 2 teams at the bottom. These teams are 4th and 5th respectively in the Eastern Conference.
Not bad. Let me look at the table. Is Toronto really 5th?
It's always changing, Matheus, It's hard to get a grasp.
Leagues. They're above Columbus. Oh my god. Whatever. Like I don't even.
All right,
Whatever.
so
Don't
you were saying
quote me in the
NYCFC need to
facts.
fire Nick Cushing.
Bernadeschi cooked for Toronto. I think set up in their 3-5-2 was really nice. But NYCF, like, Nick Cushing does not know what he's doing. Everything this team does is purely, like, talk about coaching an attack. Nick Cushing is not coaching that attack. He's putting 6 guys in the front to go out there and just, like, do whatever you want. Like, there's not, it doesn't seem like there's anything coherent. Everything is, like, really fluid. They're way too narrow at the back. It just seems like they don't really know. They don't really know what they're doing, but they're really talented. They all are part of the city scouting network and get paid way too much money to be there. And they know how to do overlaps and get into creative positions and stuff. But it didn't seem like there was any like tactical brilliance behind it. On the flip side, Toronto FC, really well coached, had a couple chances that they missed. Prince Owusu putting a header wide, notably. And Bernadeschi was cooking. Bernadeschi playing at right wing back, wide open all game, especially the second half. Like had like 3 or 4 chances. They was running straight at the defense. Scored the first Toronto goal off a sort of deflected rebound where he was totally unmarked. The second one was a banger that I think he crossed over. No, I believe it was Matty Longstaff from the right half space to Petretta, hit a nice crossfield volley. NYCFC just kind of got what they could from their chances and just finished 3 of them. There wasn't really a lot of danger created. I know they had more XG on the night, but it wasn't like a consistent amount of pressure. It was a PK early in the first half by Santi Rodriguez, a goal just before halftime by Malachi Jones, a draft pick this season with a really good but really kind of ugly technique finish, and a late goal by Anders Pereira to put him further up. But at the end of the game, a bit of a little brawl, a little bit of fisticuffs. I didn't really catch exactly what happened, but Sean Johnson started charging at Stranja, the Serbian guy, Tanja Selvic.
Did he say something? Did he say something?
I'm not loving the look of Sean Johnson running towards the guy from the Balkans. I don't love the odds.
No, and this game there was moments where it was a little bit chippy, but it wasn't like a fighting. It was just at the end of the game it blew up. There was 1 or 2 moments where I think Malachi Jones got on somebody's nerves a little bit. Towards like
when he celebrated his goal, it was very like animated. So
draft pick, like not expected to make the roster, rotated squad, score on your first start for MLS.
All right. So he doesn't have beef with them.
No beef. But yeah, so then the punching incident you're referring to is that Osorio, captain for Toronto in post game, presser, was like, yeah, last time we met, there was like a punch thrown or whatever, and then they were like, what? And then Herdman was like, yeah, Nick Cushing punched one of our guys off camera at Yankee Stadium the previous meeting. Like not this game, the previous one.
No, yeah.
And it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, they're investigating it, but there's no camera angle, but Herdman's like, he did it. But like, it's one of those things where like, okay, if Cushing punched a guy, he's fired.
He's not working again.
He's not working again. If Herdman is lying about Cushing punching a guy, he's fired.
Mm-hmm.
And probably working again eventually, but like definitely gone.
Yeah.
What's the resolution here? And it's like, it's like the NYCFC is not releasing the camera footage, or they are, and they're saying it's like wiped. He wiped the tapes or something.
That's sketchy.
Pure MLS.
Part of the city group. They've committed crimes.
Your boys, Matheus.
Don't put it past them.
These are your boys punching people in the face. That's what I'm hearing.
Listen, I do not speak for the work culture at NYCFC. I do not speak for David Villa. I do not speak for any of those guys. Not my club.
What about Claudio Reyna? Do you speak for Claudio Reyna?
No, none of the Reyna family either. Not Maximo Carrizo's dad either. None of those guys. It's a youth prospect.
What a fun club. Anyway, regarding the game, I also was Toronto. Impressed me. I thought they created a lot of chances, and I don't think they deserve to lose this game. And then on one thing that you said about NYCFC defending really narrow, That makes a lot of sense. They play half their games in the most narrow stadium in MLS. So
right, but like
yeah,
you should be able to coach that out of your guys. Like, okay, now we have a real field, boys. Like, let's step to the big boy field and not to the 7-on-7 field. Whatever, man.
Well, they must train on a big boy field.
Well, I don't know. Half their games are being played on a small field. Why would you train on a big field?
That cup run, I don't know how that happened a few years ago. I don't know how you coach a real team on that, and I think it's going to be a Mickey Mouse ass team until they move to their stadium in 3, 4, 5 years.
That's right. That's why I'll be hating on them forever. No, not forever. It's until they move to the stadium. Let's move on now to, it's MLS rivalry week. Ironically, Toronto NYCFC, not really a rivalry on paper, probably the spiciest game of this weekend. Moving on now to the best rivalry name in fucking sports. Hell is Real? Hell yeah. Amazing. We love the Hell is Real Derby here on the Soccer Edition. Cincy went away to Columbus. They won 2-1, their first win ever in Columbus. It was a very fun game. 0-0 until the 73rd minute, but a very fun 0-0. It was both goalkeepers were playing great, both teams were playing great. A lot of quality chances were being created. And then Cincy won this game because they have one of the best players in MLS. Luciano Acosta went on a great little run for the first goal and then chipped it to a 19-year-old, making his second ever MLS start, who heads it home for Cincy. And then the second goal a few minutes later, Acosta, great curler from outside the box. Columbus gets one back late, but too little too late. Cincy looked really, really good here. They get a win on the road in Columbus and in a rivalry game. Really, really nice win from Cincinnati. And I think that they are, like, especially now that they're not like in CONCACAF Champions Cup, which obviously Columbus can't say the same. They look a little bit more refreshed. They're looking like the Cincy of last season. And this is a very, very good win on the road.
What did you think, Mitch? I only watched the highlights from this game. From the Kelsey kid they brought in from the Ukraine, the Venezuelan guy. He looked big. I didn't realize he was big like that.
Yeah, he's the one that scored the goal, the 19-year-old. He correct me if I'm wrong. He's wearing Brandon Vasquez's number, right?
Was it? I don't
know.
know.
19.
19.
Yeah.
The way I remember that, how?
Did Vasquez wore 19?
I want to say yes.
I want to say he did, and I wanted to point out that he reminded me of Brandon Vasquez, and just in terms of being a big guy. He scored from a header in this game. I don't know if he's gonna score from any headers from like the 18-yard box, like the way Vasquez has for Monterrey this season. But to replace a big striker with another big striker, that's a nice little 1-to-1 combo. So I'm very interested to see how this Kelsey guy continues to play. Obviously, getting a goal in the Hell is Real Derby in your second game is pretty impressive. So he's off to a good start.
Yeah, and Acosta was cutting in and out of that defense like crazy. I think that Columbus looked tired a little bit. I think individual brilliance shone out a lot in this game from what I saw. So credit to Acosta, credit to the boys for pulling that out.
Let's move on now to LA Galaxy 2-2 with RSL. Before I throw to you, Matheus, I do want to say that RSL choked and get fucked. But I do want to give them a little bit of credit because I don't think and mostly because I host this podcast where we haven't given him much credit, but Chicho Arango has been on insane form this season. Like 100% an MVP candidate at this current moment. He scored twice in this game. His team let him down. But what'd you think about this 2-2 draw, Matheus?
Yeah, starting off with Chicho Arango, my first note here, Chicho Arango show. He was central to everything they were doing. That's carrying the ball, that's finishing, that's creating in the final third. Everything, I don't want to say flowed through him, but you could kind of say that. He has, I think 11 or 12 goals and 7 assists on the season.
Yeah.
And we're a third of the way through the season, so it's like a 30-20 pace. I mean, he didn't have, I would say, a ton of service. I think the front four for RSL is really great. It's Crooks, who's an English guy who came over the season, really good. Andres Gomez, Chicho Arango, Diego Luna. That's a really talented front four, I thought, during this game. They're connecting pieces in midfield. Emeka Inelli, is that right? And Ojeda, not great. Not a great double pivot. To the point where a lot of times during the game, RSL was like carrying the ball forward with one of those two guys. I think it was Inelli, and then like Chicho Arango dropped back from striker and was like, "No, give me the ball here. Like I'm gonna run at these guys, removing a person from the attack, just for the striker to come in and run." But Arango scores a really nice header in the 20th minute. Finishes another one in the 40th minute. They're up 2-0. I don't think that LA Galaxy played bad. I think they limited RSL's chances pretty well, and I think they transitioned. They were fine in the attacking third. They just couldn't get the final pass, couldn't get a shot on goal. Just like a game of inches kind of thing, where they probably should have had more shots than they did. So I think they could count themselves pretty unfortunate to be 2-0 down, especially at home. With all due credit to RSL. But the quality kind of showed itself in the last 45 minutes. A really nice goal to end the game by Miguel Berry. It was Gabriel Petch who scored in the 50-something minute through like a dribble ball over. But then the last goal, surf ball in by Ricky Puig. Miguel Berry, who's like hasn't scored in a while, last-ditch striker, like commits to a ball. Like flings his whole ass body in there, and Zach McMath in goal for RSL. His two options were like stay back and like not make a move, or just like knock Miguel Berry out. Like you'd have to go like Troy Polamalu, NFL safety, shoulder into Miguel Berry because he just committed so hard. And so like the ball just like hits off the end of Miguel Berry's foot, trickles in the net. Zach McMath's disappointed, but I think he would have concussed himself if he launched his body at it. And pulls out a draw for LA Galaxy at home at a time where they look pretty desperate for a goal. So a really, really good game. Great crowd in Carson. Happy to have watched it.
Can I ask, do you know what was on Petch's shirt when he took it off?
I should talk about that. So it's pray for Ehiesi, RS. So in Brazil, in the southern part of the country, Rio Grande do Sul has had like really bad flooding, or got flooded last week, and so there's 100 dead, 100 missing, a few 80 or something people under. Like the whole state is like completely underwater. So a lot of Brazilian guys have been asking for PayPal donations. I've donated a few. I can post a link maybe to show. But it's a pretty ugly situation in the southern part of the state, southern part of Brazil. And I think like at least like probably 1 million people displaced, if not more, a couple of million. It's not good. So the whole country's kind of mobilizing.
No,
that's not great. But
sorry to be depressing.
Very cool that But
I'm trying to payback is real, so I was like,
no. Pray for Rio Grande do Sul.
I was trying to like rack through my brain on how I like segue into talking about the Rapids now.
Donate if you can to humanitarian organizations.
Yeah,
and we'll
100%.
The Rapids flooded.
Oh my god.
See, I didn't want to go with that. I feel like that would be in bad taste. So the Rapids lost this weekend to a team that we smoked 3-0 at their place. And it looked like we were about to do the same thing. And then we kind of imploded a little bit. So I was at this game, and now I'm a little scared that I'm cursed because I have gone to 3 games now. The Rapids have gotten a total of 1 point when I've been at a game. I was at the Nashville game to start the season where we like gave up a stupid pen at the end of the game and ended up drawing. I was at the Houston game where we had a 96th minute dagger. And then I was at this game where we choked a 2-0 lead. So that was not fun. I will say that the first 35 minutes of this game, some of the most fun I've had at a Rapids game. We put the ball in the net 5 times. Only 2 of them counted, though.
I want to say that would have... I feel like you guys got a little bit.
I fully
watching.
Agree. I think that we imploded, but I do think that it was like impacted by like you have 3 goals called out, it's going to hurt your momentum a little bit. The first one, there was 2 out for offsides, and I think both of them were offsides. The second offsides for Rafa Navarro's would have been second goal of the game. Looked like really close in the stadium. I watched back the highlights after I got back and was like, okay, he's probably offsides, but it was like a really quick VAR check and was it was baffling in the stadium.
Yeah.
The one that is like an arguable taking it out was the first goal that we scored. It was Omir Fernandez scores an absolute fucking banger for his first goal for the Rapids. And by the way, Omir Fernandez was so fucking good in this game. Like I've liked what I've seen from him so far as a Rapid. He was phenomenal. And there was a direct correlation to after we subbed him off, we were way more toothless in the attack. So on this play, we get the ball in transition, or we win a free kick. Mihalovic puts it down quickly, sends it across the field to Omir. Off the ball, not involved in the play, as Jordy hits this ball, Mr. Kevin Cabral just runs into a Quakes defender. And it's not like ill intent. It's just him being a fucking klutz and stupid and bad. And he just runs into a defender. He happened to be in an offside position when it happened. Omir scores this goal. We're just waiting around for a while. And then the ref goes over to monitor and she calls it off for offsides. And I was in disbelief. And I went home, I looked at the replay, and I'm even in more disbelief. I've never seen that called in my entire fucking life. I have seen players off the ball get called for offsides before when they're like impeding the goalkeeper or something like that. I have never seen a player run into an opposing player, like not with like ill intent to knock a player over, and is called offsides and was reversed a goal for it. Especially a goal like that had nothing to do with what Cabral did. Omir Fernandez took the ball, shot it, and it just went in because it was a sick shot. It had nothing to do with Kevin Cabral, and yet it got called back because he's a fucking bozo. I can't emphasize enough, guys, that this is the worst soccer player I have ever had the displeasure of watching in my entire goddamn life. It doesn't even fucking begin. What on this offside? That's not even the stupidest fucking thing he did in this game. He had 2 other opportunities. He had a point blank opportunity that should have been 0.90 xg, and he fucking missed the target. No, he shot it right at the goalkeeper. There was another opportunity. That was a good opportunity. He missed the target. There was every pass that like is interesting is surely done on accident because he does it like every once in a while. Most of the time it's touching the ball 15 feet from him, and we're paying this guy $1 million a year to do this shit. He's terrible. I can't fucking stand it. Like I'm so I'm enjoying the Rapids so much this season because we have been genuinely good. But I've said it time and time again, you cannot be a good MLS team if you have bad DPs. Jordy Mihalovic, Rafa Navarro, I've liked what I've seen from them this season. Kevin Cabral is scamming his way into a goddamn living, and he's making $1 million a year out of that. And he scammed 2 different MLS teams into giving him that much fucking money. I cannot fucking fathom it. I don't understand it. And the sooner that he is out the goddamn door, the better the Colorado Rapids will be. It is unbelievable. And quite frankly, Porak Smith should lose his job just for signing Kevin Cabral. I don't give a shit about all the other nice shit that he's done. Kevin Cabral is such a fucking travesty that it's unbelievable that he is making this much money and being a professional soccer player. Even I knew I was gonna rant about Kevin Cabral. I didn't think I would get that fucking heated.
The way the vein was popping out of your neck.
About the Rapids losing that game, and I don't like Kevin Cabral. I'm just gonna throw to you, Emily, about Atlanta, DC, and a Benteke hat trick.
Oh yeah, I have to say, last words. I think that's aspirational to scam your way into $1 million bet. Anyway, yeah, this was a fun game. Benteke, how much do you think his head should be insured for?
What Kevin Cabral makes.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair enough. 3 header goals, 7 headers on the season, out of 11 goals. That's pretty good. I think he's now is he leading the Golden Boot race? But
he's tied with Suarez and Chicho.
Yeah, he's right there in it. But yeah. Anyway, great hat trick. I think DC, they were really sharp in transition. They were basically in control of this match. They were sending a lot of dangerous crosses. Jared Stroud was at the heart of all of that, of what they were doing. Atlanta didn't put DC under a ton of pressure. I think like their goals came out of like very fleeting moments of attack. It was one penalty goal. I think it was sus. I actually don't remember what the penalty was. But and then a corner kick, which obviously no one can defend those in this league.
Nope.
But I would just say that Atlanta were pretty wide open in the back. And when you look at, they have injuries and they have an 18-year-old at center back and a 19-year-old at left back. And I think they cannot handle Benteke and Stroud and those two combining together. I think DC has found their way into like a pretty nice groove. I think they're on the upswing. I think that Troy Lesesne, like his like Red Bull-ness is more successful here because he has like the personnel. Like you didn't have a striker like Benteke at Red Bull who could finish off those transition moments. So you can see why like things are moving forward for him here when Red Bull's not great.
And he has Jared Stroud, who is apparently a sick ass player all of a sudden. I mean, good
That's
enough.
not all of a sudden. He was sick for St. Louis last year. I was shocked when they traded him.
Sicker.
Yeah.
He's definitely more of the main man in DC, and so he's been very, very noticeable and good, much more for DC than he was with St. Louis. But I was shocked when they made that trade, like that St. Louis made that trade. And I mean, it's working out great for DC.
Get?
Like some defender. I don't even know.
Random
trade.
Matheus, I want to ask you.
Center back. Oh no. They gave. For Chris Durkin. They gave up Stroud and stuff for Chris Durkin, who's like
Durkin's been okay.
Fine. He's fine.
Yeah. Matheus, I do want to throw it to you real quick, and because we haven't talked about Atlanta all that much recently, mostly because there hasn't been much to talk about. But they're a team with quite a fair amount of talent. You have someone like Yakimakis, obviously Thiago Almada, Caleb Wiley is a really exciting prospect, and they just haven't been able to put it together. Do you put it on managing, on coaching?
I think Lozada deserves more heat than he's getting. I do think a lot of this is they have Jan Gregerson injured, who is their DP center back, so they're starting Noah Cobb there. So I think to have a 19-year-old, a short one at that, he's not super tall, as your third center back, unless I'm missing another injury here, is pretty rough, right? Like that's not ideal. I think you need more depth across the whole team. Muyumba has had moments and looked like a good transfer last season, but hasn't been spectacular. Jean de Silva hasn't been as amazing as they thought he'd be. I think the Luis Araujo, why did I say it like that? Luis Araujo move. They spent a ton of money on him. Wasn't great. Sold him, but I think that's financially impacted the club a lot. I think you can't lean on Almada and Yakimakis all the time. Sablo Janite is okay, but it's kind of similar to LAFC in where they had a lot of talented guys. They moved on, and then their next wave of transfers didn't work out, and now they're kind of stuck in like a mid-table zone where they have like they seem like they should be wanting to go for it, and then they don't really have the resources to go out and do the damn thing. I don't know. Like they have the bones of a good roster, but like the spine is just not. Spine is not spining. That's all I can say. Like Sleaze, Muyumba, Cobb, those three guys really aren't it. Abram really isn't it. Despite he carried me to a Champions League in an FM save once. It's not it, Luis Abram.
I do think it'll be interesting how this impacts Thiago Almada, because he's someone that's been rumored to be leaving and going to Europe for a while now. And obviously Atlanta, I think, was rightfully asking for a very high amount of money, of around 25 million or 30 in the last few windows. But now with their current form, I feel like there's been less eyes, less chatter about him, to where I don't think Atlanta's really warranted to ask that kind of money now. Granted, that's not me changing my tune about how good of a player I think Thiago Almada is, because I still do think he's a very, very good player. But Atlanta's been so underwhelming for like the last probably year now, that it's definitely affecting the kind of transfer that they're going to be able to get for him, and even Thiago's options of clubs that are going to be after him in Europe.
I would not be super shocked if he just like winds down his contract and goes free agent mode to move to Europe or to move to Brazil.
Oh, really?
I mean, I'm guessing like because like he wanted that move bad, right? I think he was promised that move, and the offers just haven't come in. I think there's probably like a few years left in his deal left. I can look, but like
watching him, like you said, the lights left his eyes
like that.
Yeah, it's a tough situation, but it'll be interesting to see what happens like when we go into the summer and stuff like that, and see what offers are coming in and stuff like it. Sometimes we don't even hear when offers come in for MLS players. Like we learned about Jesus Ferreira getting a offer from Moscow like 2 weeks after it happened.
Yeah,
and it was like accepted and struck down by MLS. All right, let's move on to the last game of the weekend. Philly 2, Orlando 3. It looks like the Luis Muriel experiment is starting to take shape in Orlando, Matheus.
Yeah, so like they found a way to either, I don't know if there was like a ton of injuries or not, but they're starting the 3-5-2 now, or it looked like a 3-4-1-2 to me, with some injuries to some defenders, and it looked better. I will say like Orlando had few chances in this game, and the reality is they took them, right? Maguire scored a really nice header after they were already 1-0 down. Mikel Ure scored a kind of an early goal when they looked like disorganized in defense, I would say, Orlando for the first half of the game. But then Maguire scoring from a corner, Muriel scoring a fucking banger cutting in on his left foot, and then almost had another one before halftime, so it was almost 3-1. But then 3-1 came shortly after halftime. Luis Muriel again. It was a really interesting game to see Philadelphia try to solve the sort of new formation that Orlando was going with, because it was really fluid. Muriel was like kind of floating in wherever. Duncan Maguire was really the poacher, leading the line, but they had Muriel kind of in a floating 10 role. Lodero always in the middle of the field, but playing like a true 10 and sort of like in behind those two strikers. And then Facundo Torres also like kind of like in the right half space. It just kind of felt very fluid, and just kind of figuring it out on the fly. But when you have your best players in the pitch, better things are going to happen, I guess. Late in the game, there was a handball penalty for Daniel Gazdag, and then another one in the 89th minute. That Gazdag, a second penalty that Gazdag did not convert. Normally a penalty merchant. I think it's his first penalty he's ever missed in MLS.
It is.
I have to say, if you've already taken a pen, you shouldn't take the next one. I think there's too many. This is what I think. There's too many questions about like, am I going to go the same way? Am I going to go a different way? Like that's just because when you're taking the first one, you just know you have a way of going. It just brings in too many questions.
I think that's fair, but also Gazdag does not miss penalties. This is literally his first time he's missed a penalty in MLS. So I agree with that thought process for like most players that like aren't Daniel Gazdag in MLS, like who makes every single penalty until now.
And this game was kind of tragic in the way that in the last last 30 minutes, Philly are really pressing and nothing's going in. And they get their first penalty shot. They score that one. The second one was kind of Nathan Harrell got like pushed in the back and like kind of dove. Like it was kind of a really bullshit penalty.
Ball didn't lie.
Ball didn't lie. That's really what it was. Ball didn't lie. There was no Fergie time. I mean, there was a lot of Fergie time. But
I wanted to ask about that. when I was watching the highlights, it said like on the score bug, it was like plus 15 added time, and then end of the game was blown at plus 7.
Plus 7.
It was like, or 7 minutes of added time. Maybe I was rushing through the highlights and I fucked something up, but I could have sworn that it was like whistle was blown in the 97th minute and it said plus 15 next to it.
It went pretty late. I will say that there was a big Dogso call shout. There was Damian Lowe got sent off for a denial of goal scoring opportunity, and he he stood at the edge of the field like waiting for VAR to check it. And what was crazy was like a very close call. So he like kind of went shoulder to shoulder with Maguire and like poked at the ball, and was definitely behind Maguire. But it was one of those. I guess the ruling was that he poked the ball before he like killed Maguire. And then so he was like waiting for the call to happen, and I was like, he's staying sent off. But that whole process took like a good 4 or 5 minutes, so there was a lot of extra time left. I didn't notice if they called it early or not, to be honest with you.
Maybe that was me.
The game was Harriel diving as well early and missing a chance. So
very possible that I just misread it or something. I was speeding through those highlights in preparation for this episode. All right, well, I think that's all for us this week. Fuck Kevin Cabral, and you guys know what to say.
Peace.
Take your shirt off. Take your shirt off.